He holds a 46-point advantage over the number 99 of Carlos Tate. If Tate wants to have a chance of winning this championship and adding it to his Red Bull rookie success, he needs to win this race.
He most definitely does, and the one later, so here we go.
Just waiting for the lights to come on here in the Moto3 class. 18 laps of this Valencia circuit. Davide Pezzoli starts on the pole, makes a slow start though, and it's Holgado that makes a great start. Carlos Tate as well. He's been able to get himself through at the front, but also that number 37 of Pedro Acosta from the second row with a grid, able to immediately get his way to the front of that field too.
Yeah, and you can see Dennis Onchu as well, made a pretty good start there from a few rows back, and he slotted into about 4th. Oh, a lot of guys going wide there. Easily done. There's no penalties, obviously, on the first lap. You've just got to shuffle back into position and try and not lose out too much. But Pezzoli, absolute nightmare from pole.
Yeah, and you can see as well with Carlos Tate and Jeremy Alcoba coming quite close together down in towards turn 2. Tate is going to make sure that he's aggressive in these early laps. You're going to see from the 52 of Alcoba that he's going to try and make sure he can avoid getting caught out by anyone else's instance in these early laps. But at the front of the field, Danny Holgado doing a really good job to get himself into that whole shot. Yeah,
really, really good job. Really solid start from him, and most definitely capitalise on the difficulties of the pole sitter alongside him. But it looked like he got a little bit of daylight, but that's now been closed down. You can see Onju then attacking to get up into 3rd. Really good start from him. Not sure exactly where Cooney's ended up after that shuffle. I think just behind those guys there. Yeah, you can see the number 33 there. But Alcoba then, bit of a different race for him. He's not aiming squarely for the top step. He's just got to get a good haul of points and make sure that nothing too crazy befalls him in this first race to take that crown.
Yeah, for Alcoba on the 52, just about scoring points. For Dennis Onchu, though, on the 53, it's all about trying to get himself through to the front. He's had a tough season all the way through this year, Fran, but he has had retirements from podium positions in 3 different races, so it has been a year where he's been at the front, but just not quite been able to get those results. He's under attack down into that last corner from the Australia Galicia rider, Ryo Yamanaka, able to make his way up into 4th position.
Yeah, so you can see Yamanaka then going through. I wouldn't be surprised to see the number 53 on that Iron Machine attack back at turn 1. Dennis Onchu is a pretty small rider as well, so in the straight line he'll be rocketing through. We'll have to see. I think he is going to go for it, yep, so just able to take that position back from Yamanaka then. But they do have to be careful at the moment because it looks like the guys at the front are fairly comfortable.
Yeah, good move there from Onchu to be able to get himself through. Now the key thing is to make sure you're able to close up on Holgado and Artigas, the 2 rookies at the front of the field. Both of them really adapting well to the Moto3 class this year, able to turn themselves into regular front runners, podium men through the course of the season. Ryo Yamanaka able to get down the inside of Dennis Onchu once again. Yamanaka on that number 6 machine. He's been fast all the way through this weekend, but he knows he can't let these 2 leaders open a gap at that front of the field.
Yeah, most definitely. You see he's super, super keen to get straight past that number 53 of Dennis Onchu and back into this fight. But if they do beat each other up too much, the guys at the front have shown they have the pace and the nerve to run at the front. Ooh, bit of a wobble there. Is he going to go for it? Not quite.
Yeah, Costa just running across the curbs there as he tries to attack on the bike in front of him. But Costa on that number 37 was able to finish inside the top 5 in both of his first rounds here in the CEV Moto3 Championship at the Jerez round. So he's been strong right from the outset in this class, and once again able to get himself battling at the front. He's the teammate of Carlos Tate. Tate, of course, on that 99, you can see just in front of Alcoba's 52. Tate needs to get himself through to the front of this field. He hasn't looked like being able to make too much of an impact on Dennis Onchu in front of him, but in these early stages of the race, it's all about just trying to feel your way into the proceedings.
Yeah, definitely. A lot can be lost in the first few laps and not much can be won, but for Tate, he needs to be far more than 1 position ahead of Alcoba if he is to keep this challenge going into even race 2. But you can see then at the moment it looks like that gap has gone down, and now we have Holgado under a little bit of pressure from those behind him, but managing to hold on to that lead.
Yeah, Holgado on the 96 able to stay out in front, but Ryo Yamanaka on the 6, he's been able to close that gap right down. Yamanaka looks really fast. He was faster than the race leaders by about half a second last time around in that first flying lap of the race. So Yamanaka, race winner here in Valencia earlier this season, he wants to try and add to his tally. He's been able to open up a little bit of a gap between himself and Dennis Onchu, at least leave himself where he's not under attack from number 53, Ayo behind him.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about managing to escape those clutches so that you can prepare your attack. And it looks like he's looking for a way through, most definitely already, on Artigas ahead of him. So Yamanaka, I think, at the moment, looking like the man who's really trying to make some serious progress here and get through.
Yeah, you can see with Artigas trying to, once again, just keep Holgado honest at the front. But Ryo Yamanaka, he's going to try and make a move, probably down in towards those final corners of the lap, because he knows this is a real chance to be able to hit the front and open up a bit of a gap. He knows he's a little bit faster than the riders in front of him. You can see Holgado's holding up this field a little bit. Anshu under attack there from what looks like it's Carlos Tate. So Tate able to make his way up into fourth position now. Quick look over the shoulder there for Barry Boltus on the number 7 machine. All of this group, they're all getting nice and congested. The reason for that, Fran, they're just not quite at that same pace that you would have expected. Holgado's just bottling everyone up a little bit.
Yeah, not quite at the moment. And that camera angle looked like there was not that much room there for that Tate manoeuvre on Anju, but he made it stick and has moved through. Now looking a little bit threatening as well on Yamanaka ahead of him, and you can see Alcoba then pretty keen to stick to the exhaust of the number 99, who of course is his main focus in this race in terms of taking the crown.
Yeah, for Alcoba it's all about just making sure you stay in this leading group, stay out of trouble, pick up the title in this race. He only needs to pick up 4 points to be able to win the championship. So for Alcoba, it's definitely a position right now to be able to win that championship. That's all he's thinking of. Carlos Tate, though, he's trying to make sure that he's able to just find his way to the front. He wants to win this race and at least put the pressure onto Alcoba. You want to live up to what you have to do, but for Carlos Tate into third position now, it really is a case trying to just pick off the riders around him. He hasn't tried to make too many aggressive moves. We saw last time around that he tried to force that move down the inside, but not really too bad from the number 99 of Carlos Tate. It's still quite calm here at the front in these early stages, Fran.
Yeah, by Moto3 and certainly Moto3 Junior World Championship standards, nothing too crazy so far. And you can see Yamanaka then looking to take that position back again from Tatai. But yeah, Tatai, all he can do is what's in his power, which is essentially just to take 2 wins and then see how the cards fall for Alcoba, who at the moment is still looking solid in this group. And yeah, he'll certainly know that that's more than enough. And Baltus is that going through there. Really, really late move there on Anju, but gets it done. And then David Salvador on the green stuff. It's getting a little bit crazier now. Yeah,
and the reason for that is the pace just isn't fast right now for this group. It is quite windy here for these Moto3 riders. They've got a bit of a tailwind down in towards turn 1, and that's going to change really how these bikes are feeling all the way around this racetrack. So at this stage of the race, everyone's still riding that little bit within themselves. The pace hasn't really gotten down to the kind of lap times you'd expect. But at the front of the field, you can see that Holgado able to take advantage of some of that fighting that's going on behind them. With Carlos Tate now up into that second spot, Holgado's got a little bit of breathing room, but it's all about what Alcoba's going to do, trying to go around the outside of Yamanaka down into turn 1. Yamanaka's going to try and attack back into 2. He'll hold that inside line, pushes Alcoba out wide, so Alcoba just has to cede that position. But you can see further back, Alcoba's teammate also running wide through turn 1. It's very congested in this group here at the front, Fran. 11 riders all really close together.
Yeah, and that was a nice move from Yamanaka there. Just oh, and there he goes again, taking Alcoba then, not content to let the championship leader through at all. And I imagine he's definitely aware that he's a contender for this win and doesn't want to be wasting too much time on this fight. But at the moment, at least, it's Holgado in the lead still, and not been able to break away from the pack at all. But yeah, it's getting a little bit feistier in there at the moment. But Holgado still holds firm, but Tatai now looking like he's going to be on the attack.
Yeah, Carlos Tate looks like he's got that little bit more speed than the race leader. So the number 99 doing exactly what he has to do, staying in front of Alcoba, getting himself into a position to try and win this race. The big thing for Carlos Tate, though, has to be just to try and win this race. The championship's going to be a big ask for him with 46-point deficit, so it really is a case of just trying to make sure you're able to pad your stats for the season, finish off the CEV year on a high, and then move on to the Moto3 World Championship for next season. For Jeremy Alcoba, though, he's doing a good job here of just making sure that he's able to put his bike where he needs to put it on that number 52 without really leaving himself open too much for attack as well. So good riding there from Alcoba, the championship leader.
Yeah, definitely. And as well, if he just concentrates on sticking near to Tatai, that's a bit of an easier goal than trying to keep your eye on absolutely everyone and play with the position too much. And obviously as well, probably take his mind off those championship nerves a little bit to just keep locked onto that number 99, who's still, though, not able to find a way through into the lead. And yeah, he knows that if he's within the same postcode as Tatai, then he's taken the crown. And you can see then Carlos Tatai is our new race leader. Have to see if Holgado can strike back or if the number 99 is going to start to stretch his legs a little bit.
Yeah, Holgado hasn't looked like he's at the same pace as these other riders around him, but maybe now that he has to try and force down and face down Carlos Tate, he will try and get a little bit faster, a little bit more aggressive out there, but he's also under attack now from Alcoba. Alcoba knows that this is a real chance to be able to get himself up into second, and not quite close enough right now to make that move in Holgado, but maybe down into the next corner on the end of the back straight. Alcoba's going to try and attack, because that's where we've seen Holgado a little bit weak, Fran.
Yeah, definitely. But you can see as well, the number 24 was looking a bit racy. I hate that phrase, but I keep using it. Just behind them as well. But yeah, Alcoba definitely looks in a bit of a hurry to try and get past Holgado then. And of course, he will know that Tatai is likely to have the pace to just start to break up the field a little bit maybe. And here at Valencia, there's a slipstream on the main straight, but it is much easier to try and break that pack if you do have a little bit of pace in hand here. Yeah,
if you've got a bit of an advantage here in Valencia, you can really make it count. The big thing for these Moto3 riders is all about trying to just make sure you can stay in that pack. We've seen that the group has once again stretched out a little bit, but for Jeremy Alcoba, he's going to try and get down the inside now, down in towards that final corner, forces the door open there against Holgado. So now the championship leader is up into P2 and chasing down the man in second in the championship, Carlos Tate. Good move there from the 52 of Alcoba.
Yeah, nicely done, and stayed within track limits on the exit as well. And you can see he's not lost out too much there either from having made that move, and straight through then attacking for that lead is Alcoba. Now Tatai, I'm sure, will be up for a fight here to try and prevent him getting away. Yeah, Alcoba's not hanging about. He's trying to make sure that he's able to win this championship in style, just like we've seen him all the way through this season. He might have qualified on the third row of the grid, but he's consistently been able to be on the podium all the way through this season. Only missed out in it twice so far this season. You can see there the number 20 of Jose Garcia as well. Good move from Garcia. He was one of the stars of the show earlier in the season at Le Mans, where he finished second to Yuki Kuni, and this is another strong performance from Garcia, Fran. Yeah, most definitely, and you can see another strong trip over track limits for most of the field there. They will have to be a little bit careful, because if they're doing that repeatedly and they're gaining an advantage, race direction will come down on them and give them a penalty. But at the moment, doesn't seem to have been too many repeat offenders, but you could see almost the whole train that time just taking a bit of a trip over that green. So you do need to be careful, because we've seen it here before. Yeah, we've seen it through this season with none other than Alcoba being hit by it at the Catalan round as well in Montmeló. He was forced to take a 1.3 second penalty for exceeding the track limits, and it dropped him from battling for the race lead to only being able to finish in third position. So all these riders, they have to be careful about it. We've seen race direction here in Valencia earlier this season come down pretty hard on some of the riders, especially in the European Talent Cup. So even for these Moto3 riders, that's something that they're going to have to pay attention to. You can see there with Holgado able to get down the inside now. Carlos Tate, good move from Holgado. He's definitely doing what he has to do, Fran, because when he was out in front, he didn't seem to have the pace to pull away, but he's consistently been able to make sure he stays in those leading positions. Yeah, most definitely. If he can just use those guys around him to stay in touch and stay in contention, then that's a job well done. And yeah, at the moment then, I did expect Alcoba maybe to just pull the pin a little bit more than he did, but at the moment it's still your two championship contenders who are out in front in this race, but a bit of a switcheroo now. Yeah, you can see with Salvador able to get himself up into third. He was fastest in the morning warm-up, so he's been looking pretty good so far today, and now able to get himself up into third on the number 38 machine just in front of Garcia. But for these riders as well, Fran, this really is a case of in these opening laps of the race, we're only at 1/3 distance. It's a case of just making sure that you're able to put yourself into positions to be able to attack later on in the race. It's about surviving the first third of the race, getting through then the next third of the race, and then it's all about those final few laps in the Moto3 class. Yeah, most definitely. With 11 laps to go, it's, yeah, you don't need to be at the front of the race really now to be a contender for the win or to take a podium, but you definitely have to be in contention within the front group. And as we can see, there's still a very, very big front group in this race. So all of these guys, you can't say that they're out of contention for a podium or even for the win. Oh, Rubin's racing, but that was a little bit close between those two there, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of rubber then on the arm of David Salvador. And you can see with Holgado again attacking down in towards the right-hander too, so he's been able to just force his way through in Artigas as well. So it is getting a little bit more combative down in this leading group. The key thing is you want to make sure you're able to stay in those leading 5 positions. You want to make sure that you're able to always be in touch with the race leaders, because if you fall to the back of this group, it's very easy to fall out of touch. So if you're the likes of Yuki Kuni on the number 33 machine and Noguchi on the 32, you want to make sure that you're able just to pick off another couple of riders here in this leading group. There's 15 riders, all the point scorers in the leading group, so you can go from the front to the back of this group very easily
and that's why it's so important, Fran, to avoid making those mistakes. Keep yourself in the front of this group. Delgado trying to get himself down the inside of Alcoba as well. So while Delgado in those early laps didn't quite show the same pace as some of the riders around him, he's been able to make sure that he consistently stays in that leading couple of positions, Fran, and that's the big thing for all these riders.
It is, yeah, and you can see Salvador definitely intent on staying near the front of this little group. But Holgado, yeah, doing a good job at the moment to mix it up with the two guys who are up for the championship today. Another impressive ride from him. And you can see Alcoba getting a little bit bogged down there in that little trio fighting it out, but Tatai then at the moment just a little bit of breathing space in the lead, and that's exactly what he'll want. Nothing too risky. He can't afford anything to go wrong today, and he needs to win these two races.
Yeah, exactly, and he's doing what he has to do by staying out in the front of this group. At the back of this group, though, Alex Few is the fastest rider out on the racetrack. He's down in 15th spot, but he's got that pace, Fran, and he's going to try and make sure he can make his way through the field. He's had a pretty tough season because he's been really fast at a lot of races this year, but just hasn't quite had the results to be able to pay it off. Catalunya, one of the probably the toughest weekends of the season for him. He had a crash, big high side in race 1, and then a technical failure trying to get to the grid in race 2, and a race weekend where he looked really strong, didn't quite manage to get the results.
Yeah, and sadly for him, no stranger to bad luck is Aleix View in the last couple of or few seasons. So yeah, good to see then he's in this lead group at the moment, fighting it out, and yeah, like you said, fastest man around last time around as they all thunder past our commentary box. But yeah, there's a few little distinct groups then here, but a bit of a heartbreaker for those who maybe are in that second group, that at the moment all the points are going to go to these guys who are in this freight train at the front. You can see Dennis Onchu then very wide through there. Yeah,
Dennis Onchu on the 53 just running all the way wide on through the runoff of turn 1, but you can see for Carlos Tate, he got attacked by Artigas down in towards turn 1. Artigas coming from 4th to 2nd, now back down to 4th. It is starting to get the gloves off now.
Classic Moto3, and it is our early leader Daniel Holgado who's back in the hot seat then. But yeah, a few little shuffles that time around, but at the moment still plenty of laps to go. As long as you don't have an absolute disaster and you're still within this group, there's still everything to play for. But Holgado at the moment definitely keeping his powder dry and impressing with these guys around him.
Yeah, for Holgado, he was too young to race at the opening round of the year, and Estoril came in here to Valencia for round 2, and he was able to finish 4th and also on the podium in those 2 races. So he's got good form around this track, and he's in good form all the way through the season as well. He's been a regular front runner as the 14-year-old on the 96. His teammate there, look like Yamanaka, was trying to attack. Let's see if the number 6 has been able to make that move. Yamanaka, he's up into 5th position now. Alcoba falling down this group as well. Alcoba's into 6th. This is where it gets a little bit risky for Jeremy Alcoba as well on that number 52 machine, because you don't want to leave yourself with too much work to do in the second half of the race. So Alcoba there with the blue helmet, number 52, it's all about trying to make sure that he's able to pick off a couple of riders, keep himself at the front of this group, and just keep himself out of trouble. Once you're in the middle of a pack, it's always a lot easier to be tripped up by someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about the position, it's almost also about the increased risk when you're in that big group battle and there's so many riders around you who of course aren't racing for a championship. They're just racing in this race today for the best result they can get in this first race of Sunday, packed full of action. But for Alcoba then, yeah, he needs to be a little bit careful, because if he does start to fall down the order much more, and then Tatai is able to win this race, it's getting interesting.
Yeah, and just in front of Alcoba is the number 20 there of Garcia. He raced twice in the Moto3 World Championship this year, Aragon and also in Buriram. He's been able to be quite strong all the way through this season too. A podium in Le Mans, now he's into those podium spots on that number 20 machine. He's been able to duff up Carlos Tate, but like we've seen all the way through this race, once Tate gets overtaken, he tries to answer straight back, not quite able to make the move down into turn 6, but he's going to put himself into position down this back straight to try and attack down in towards the left-hander. It looks like he's been able to make that move.
It does, and it looks like Alcoba might have followed him through there as well. So yeah, I think it is in fact Alcoba who's emerged in the lead of that little shuffling trio there. So yeah, Jeremy Alcoba then back on the attack, and Yamanaka as well made some swift progress up from sort of 7th or 8th. He just got bogged down a little bit in the latter half of the top 10 in this group, but he's now in the lead of this race, and he has won here before, so I wouldn't be surprised if the number 6 is able to just start pulling away a little bit from his teammate. And you can see there again, 96 of Holgado just heading over the green stuff. It is something to bear in mind.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see here down into the last corner, the championship leader on the 52 trying to attack down on Garcia. And he's not thinking about the championship right now. He's just trying to think about getting himself through to the front of this group. Jeremy Alcoba on the 52, not quite able to make the move down into that last corner, but he's going to put himself into a position to try and attack down in towards turn 1. At the front of the field, Holgado's going to try and attack his teammate as well. Holgado gets himself back to the front of the field, but all the way through this lead group, Fran, the changes all the way through for position.
I take it back, Yamanaka, but looks like Tatai then, is he gonna, I thought he was gonna try and go for a 2-for-1 Darren Binder style dive bomb there, but not quite. But Yamanaka, I'm a little bit surprised that he wasn't able to make a little bit more space there for himself. But at the moment then, it's still the two Estrella Galicia machines leading the way. And David Salvador again, another who just dropped a couple of positions and then just picks his way back through to fight for the lead. But you can see Holgado there was a little bit too wide. And that just let Yamanaka have a little bit more space there.
Yeah, for Salvador on that 38 machine, he hasn't had a podium through this season, but he has had 4 top 10 finishes, so he's been able to just keep himself into the front of this group. One man that is a man on the move to number 33 there of Yuki Kuni as well. He's been able to get himself up another couple of positions. Keep an eye out for him. Really strong here in Valencia at the second round of the season. And the Honda rider is just going to try and make sure that he's able just to pick off another couple of riders as we come into this final third of the race. Salvador down the inside. He's able to hold that tight line, able to take advantage of the Estrella Galicia rider there. Danny Holgado running a little bit wide through the right-hander. So now for Salvador, is he going to be in a position to be able to try and close up on Yamanaka? When Yamanaka was here in April, Fran, he was able to open up gaps at times from the rest of the field. He has that potential.
Yeah, most definitely, and it's a little bit dangerous as well for the likes of Tatai and Alcoba, who do now have a few more hurdles to get over before they can start to tag back onto the back of Yamanaka. But at the moment then, I think it's going to be the straight that's going to be the decider. If the Japanese rider can keep it into turn 1, then I think we're on for an interesting few laps.
It's interesting down here into turn 1 as well. You can see all the riders fanning out through there. Jeremy Alcoba's the big loser in that crash down at the back. It looks like Dennis Onchu's down into turn 1. We've seen him make a couple of mistakes into that corner already through this race. It looks like he's now at a terminal mistake. So the first domino's fallen now, Fran, in this leading group, and not for the first time this year. It's Dennis Onchu.
Yeah, sadly then, the young Turk, at least he's up and okay there, a bit heartbroken by crashing out of this race. Before we've really got down to the nitty-gritty of deciding that podium, you see him just slide out the back of shot, and good spot. You could see it was possibly blue and orange, but there's quite a lot of blue and orange on this grid, so good eye there. But we can see then at the moment, we've got Tatai just falling a little bit further back through the field. So Onchu makes his way over the gravel trap. Yeah, it must be pretty frustrating, especially after the season he has had, although he has had a few appearances in the World Championship as well, so you can definitely count on a few more of those, I'm sure. So we still have Yamanaka in the lead then after that shuffle, still have Salvador on the chase, but yeah, it looks like it's just shuffled our two title contenders a little bit further back here, and that was Noguchi there. I was going to say Cooney, but no, that's a very interesting helmet design for Noguchi, making his way through there. Pretty solid ride from him as well at the moment in this league group. Yeah,
Noguchi doing a good job there on the number 32 machine. Of course, for Noguchi, he is a race winner in the Asian Talent Cup, finished second last year to Billy Van Erde in that, and also finished third in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. So he's got a lot of success under his belt already. He wants to make sure he's able to try and get himself up onto the podium spots here at the final round of the Moto3 Junior World Championship. But for Jeremy Alcoba on the 52, he's under attack again. Artigas takes a quick look over his shoulder and stares down Jeremy Alcoba as well. All of these riders, Fran, they know that Alcoba's vulnerable. He has to be thinking about the championship now, even though Carlos Tate hasn't been able to get himself to the front. If you're Alcoba, though, you've got to just be thinking about making sure you pick up enough points to be able to wrap up this championship.
Yeah, definitely. He's a man on a very singular mission today, is Jeremy Alcoba, but so is Carlos Tate. You can see there again attacking. I thought he was going to go for it and just have a bit of a fairing bash there against Yamanaka, but no, not quite. But back into second, so he just needs to stay near the front of this group and then try and take the win. So we've got a long lap penalty then for repeatedly exceeding track limits. That's for Marcos Uriarte, the number 89. So like we said, if you do go over that green stuff a little too often, you will have race direction come down on you, and it's a long lap penalty then for the number 89. No one in the front group then has come a cropper with that rule yet, but it could get pretty interesting later in the race, because there's a good few different lines being shown around this Cheste track that aren't necessarily the legal way around it.
Yeah, the racetrack ends at the end of the curb, and for all these riders, you can see here on the exit of the corner here. They're just going to try and run out onto that curb. It's very easy to run a little bit too far. We saw from Danny Delgado a couple of times on the number 96 machine, and you can see there for the long lap penalty now for Uriarte, just taking that down in towards turn 11 there, so he falls further down the field. Salvador, on the other hand, he's trying to rise his way through the field. He attacks the 99 of Carlos Tate, and he's able to take that second spot. We've got 4 laps to go now, Fran. All these riders, they've got something to ride for right now. You've got Yamanaka out in front here. Salvador is trying to fight for his first ever podium. You've got the number 96 of Danny Delgado trying to attack down into turn 1 on Carlos Tate. Tate needs to win this race to have any chance about being able to stay in title contention. He runs out wide through turn 1. He's not the only one, though. Garcia and a couple of other riders all running out through there.
Just a little bit, getting a little bit frisky now here, and there is not enough space for everyone to stay within track limits then, but they do need to be careful. And you can see then Alcoba, I think, has moved a little bit further back, but he's making his way back through again, and he's on for the championship if it remains like this. Yeah,
Alcoba was another one of those riders running out onto the green stuff as well. So for the number 52 machine, he's now finding himself under attack.
Imagine the drama it would be. But that's pretty tight through there. Then you can see one of the junior talent team riders, that was Noguchi then.
And it's Carlos Tate as well that got ran out wide there too. So the number 99 machine, he's got 3.5 laps to try and attack back through. He's now behind Andy Koffler in front of him. Sorry, Max Koffler in front of him. And for Carlos Tate, it really is a case now of now or never. You've got to try and be aggressive. You've got to try and make your moves. You've got 3.5 laps to try and pick off a dozen riders in front of you now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a Marquez-style challenge there.
Another mistake from Tate as well.
A few people heading out wide there. Was that Tatai, and who else went with him then there? It's a pretty dramatic lap then for Carlos Tatai.
Yeah, it was Koffler in front of him that ran in too deep. Tate making another mistake there. So his championship hopes look to be fairly goosed right now. Just over 3 laps to go. And it really does come down now to this fight for the race victory. You can see Garcia on the number 20 tries to get down the inside of Artigas. Does that into the last corner. He's now up into 4th spot. Salvador is chasing that first ever podium for himself. And you've got the Australia Galicia riders out in front. Jeremy Alcoba we see on the 52 now. He's going to know that his championship rival's all the way down at the back of this group. So suddenly for Alcoba on the 52, he might well feel that he's got the chance to try and be a little bit more aggressive now, try and attack, see if he's able to challenge for this race victory.
Yeah, most definitely. You never know. It's certainly a lot less pressure when your rival is so far back. And Tatai, I think it's going to be too much of an ask for him to really make that much progress through these guys, because there are an awful lot of fast riders in this field. Just because you're near the top of the table does not mean that you've got that much of a pace advantage on the guys around you. There's a combination of bad luck, progress, injury, everything else. So there's a lot of people for Tatai to try and pick off, even to get back near the front of this group. So big ask for him now. It looks like Alcoba's most definitely in the driving seat, but in the race it's still the number 6 of Yamanaka then in that lead. And it does seem though like he's getting a little bit closer. Those guys behind him seem to have a pretty comfortable advantage last time around, but now they're breathing down his neck again.
Yeah, Salvador is looking really fast in that number 38 machine. Jose Garcia is looking very much like he's the most aggressive rider in this leading group.
In the world.
In the world right now, as he attacks down in towards the right-hander. Is he going to get the 2 for 1? Doesn't quite manage to do it, but he manages to get himself up onto those podium spots. You can see Danny Delgado, he's chasing his first ever victory here in the Junior World Championship on the number 96 machine. He wants to make sure that Rio Yamanaka out in front doesn't get too far away. Alcoba's been able to pick his way back up into 4th spot now in front of Salvador. So all these riders, Fran, they're all being quite aggressive with one another. Salvador, is he going to try and attack down the inside? Not quite close enough, but you can see with Garcia on the number 20 machine, he looks like he's the rider that's willing to try and make the moves right now, Fran.
Most definitely, and you've got to wait for that camera to pan out to show that it's definitely gone down okay with those kind of moves at the final corner. But Yamanaka then still able to hold the lead at the moment, although Holgado looking a lot more threatening now than he did a couple of laps ago. And Alcoba then, I'm sure now he'll just want to be on that podium to celebrate this World Championship. But Garcia then, man of the moment at the moment, stealing all the limelight.
Yeah, Jose Garcia, he was on the podium in Le Mans. He's been at the front of the field a few times through the course of this season, but look at how aggressive he is. He's just constantly trying to attack, just like we see from Salvador as well. He just barges down the inside of the Leopard rider. That's the 99 of Carlos Tate. He's got a lap and a half to try and get himself to the front of this field, try and stay in title contention. That's not going to happen for the number 99. So for Carlos Tate, it really is a case now just trying to see where you can finish this race. Alcoba on the 52 is the championship leader. He's got one hand on the title right now, and we'll see what he's able to do to try and attack for these podium spots. He's up there in 4th position.
He is, and it looked like Garcia then was trying to attack for the lead as well. Just have to see. Yeah, he's gone through then on Yamanaka. So still a little bit, a good few kilometers to go in this race though, so might have gone a little bit early. I'm sure Yamanaka will be keen to attack back fairly quickly, but it's all down to as well, do you want to be leading into that final corner and risk someone dive bombing you from behind, or do you want to be the guy who's trying to make that move?
Well, interestingly for Yamanaka, this is exactly the situation he found himself in when he was able to pick up the race victory in race 2 here in Valencia earlier this season. He was chasing down Yuki Kuni all the way through that day's racing, and for Yamanaka, he tried to make his move into this corner on the last lap. You can see there Salvador makes a mistake, and also Danny Delgado as well. Looks like he ran into the back of his teammate Rio Yamanaka. That's Salvador, then it ran wide into that last corner. So suddenly, Fran, this leading group, it's now split right up. We've got Garcia against Alcoba for the race victory. You've got the two Angel Nieto bikes up there as well, Aleix Fiu and Barry Baltas, and suddenly all of this leading group has just splintered.
Yeah, that was pretty dramatic. Incredible for Delgado to manage to stay on there. You see a massive wobble from the Estrella Galicia machine, but he was able to stay in this race. But Yamanaka as well ousted from this podium fight in that instant, and Salvador fully running off track there. So Alcoba then, from all of that drama, emerges as the man currently on to take this victory, although I'm sure Garcia will have something to say about it.
Yeah, for Garcia on that number 20 machine, he's going to have to try and be a little bit aggressive on Alcoba. He hasn't been afraid of trying to show a wheel to anyone. These two went toe-to-toe a few times through this season, but Aleix Fiu gets himself into second position now. Is that going to be able to give the 52 of Alcoba that little bit of breathing room to try and stretch out a little bit of a lead over these in second and third position? You can see Alcoba out in front. He's now got that one hand on the championship, Fran. He's in a position to be able to win this championship in style, and Alcoba on the 52 out in front, and he's got enough of a gap now over Aleix Fiu as well that Fiu is going to be under attack from Garcia. May not be able to try and close down that gap onto the race leader as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty interesting now. It looks like they've closed him down again a little bit. So the guys behind him, absolutely nothing to lose. Alcoba, everything to lose in some ways, but he'll at least still take the championship if he finishes anywhere near this position. So it's coming down now. Have we got a move? Not quite. Oh, it's all getting very squiggly around there.
Aleix Fiu not quite able to get close enough to Jeremy Alcoba, but no one's been able to get close enough to Alcoba through the course of this season. Jeremy Alcoba just about to be crowned the 2019 FIM CEV Repsol Junior World Champion in the Moto3 class. Great performance from Alcoba. Wins this in style to take the race victory, and he's been able to do that by holding off Aleix Fiu by just 1/10 of a second. And we have a new champion in the class, and Alcoba, he'll step up to the Moto3 World Championship next weekend here in Valencia as well, and he's going to do it as a Junior World Champion. Gets his congratulations there from Carlos Tate, the number 99 machine. Tate, the Red Bull Rookies champion, not able to double up here in the CEV class as well, but for Jeremy Alcoba, no one's been able to have any answers through him all the way through the season, Fran. So look now at the results from race 1 here in Valencia. Alcoba from Garcia and Aleix Fiu. There was only a 10th of a second separating the top 3, and it looks like Aleix Fiu has been given a penalty there as well to push him down into 3rd spot. You can see there the results under review from Race Direction. So maybe Garcia has been elevated up into 2nd spot there in front of you. Yamanaka missing out on that podium by only 0.005 of a second, and Artigas, Kuni, Tate, Barry Baltas and Noguchi inside the top 9. Gerard Roux closed out the top 10, and then we also had Fernandez. Our poleman David Pizzoli fell down to 12th position. Danny Delgado with that runoff on the last lap finished in 13th, and then we had a gap back to Ikmail and Max Cook, the former British Talent Cup rider, able to score points here in Valencia. Max Koffler was running in that lead group for most of the race, but suffered when he ran wide and lost a couple of places, and he fell out of those points-paying positions. But for all these riders, they're going to get another opportunity to race again in a couple of hours' time to finish off their Moto3 season. For Alcoba on the top step of the podium, for Aleix Fiu 2nd, and for Jose Garcia. They'll also have another race this afternoon in the Moto3 class, and definitely Garcia is going to be a man to watch throughout. You can see the trophies now being awarded by Frank Vaisier from the FIM, and just giving the team's trophy first. But for the Legalese Academy, another race victory for them, and another championship for them as well, of course. And they've been able to have success in this class over the last few years. Of course, for the likes of Jeremy Alcoba, he's been able to join Lorenzo Della Porta, the newly crowned Moto3 World Champion, and the likes of Quattararo and other riders. They've been able to win this CEV Moto3 Junior World Championship, and for Alcoba, this will be one of those days that he won't forget. It also sets the scene up nicely for him to race next week in the Moto3 World Championship.
Mr. Martin de Graaf, female director member,
So for Jeremy Arcoba, our FIM CEV Repsol Moto3 Junior World Champion, he now gets his trophy, having picked up his 3rd race victory of the season. And this one's going to be the sweetest one yet, because this is the one that wrapped up the championship and showed that even with a title on the line, all he wanted to do was make sure he was able to win this race. He's joined on the top step of the podium by his team manager now as well.